Alright guys, good evening and welcome back. Alright, so in this video I want to show us how to draft the basic bodies of our normal senator outfit. Now I believe most of us must have watched my other videos on how I draft or how I make this outfit. But here in today's video I want to show you in a clearer view on how to do this. Now first and foremost, you must have known your customer's measurement, right? And then the measurement of your customer must be properly taken. For some of us who are yet battling with how to take an appropriate measurement, make sure you watch the video on how to take the measurement, right? So now, the first thing to do is to note that you must know the front and back of this outfit. Now, you also cross-check the directions of the flower. If it has any image, the flower going up or going down or having any directional image, right? But for this particular fabric, we are having only a random direction. As you can see, this flower is facing down, here it's facing up, here it's facing sideways, and this other one is facing this other way around. So there is no concrete direction. So anywhere you place it, it can work perfectly well. But had it been the flowers are facing upright, it means that this should be the up part of the cloth. If it's facing downward, it means that this should be the up part of the cloth. All images must face upright. So having said that, then I fold in this form. Now I have two fabrics, but then I will cut them together. So the folding will be gotten from your customer's chest over 4. So with the chest I have is a chest line of 42, right? 42, which is 10.5, then plus extra 2 inches. This is how I get the folding, right? So after knowing this, now I want to place the two fabrics together so that I can cut the both at once. Alright guys, so now after you must have placed your fabric nicely this way, now the next thing to do is to iron. Now like I said, you must make sure you iron all the bodies properly, right? Make sure you don't have any rumples on the fabric while you are trying to draft. Now this ironing will help you to have a relaxed fabric in order for you to achieve a perfect result, right? So once you are done ironing, now the next thing to do is to start drafting. So take the time, iron out all the rumples and making sure that all the fabric is being placed evenly, right? Then after this now, you start ironing like I said. So you start ironing, making sure that the fabrics are equally placed properly. Now, the first thing to do here is to mark out your baseline. Now your baseline will be marked out from the edge of the fabric on the right hand side. You mark it out. Now this drafting is to help you have a straight line at the base and also to remove the English mouth or the fabric name here. So after this, the next thing to do now is to apply 4 inches. Now this 4 inches you are putting here is for your folding allowance, or what they call hemming allowance. So you mark 4 inches here, you mark 4 inches here, you also mark it here. Make sure you mark it twice, right? You mark it twice. Then after which you extend your line in this form. Extend your line in this form. Then you now have to bring your customer's measurement, which the top length I have is a top length of 31, right? 31. But let's make it 32. 32 top length. So you mark top length of 32. Then the reason I just made 32, I just want to increase it a bit. But you can still measure whatever you have. So don't add 1 inch extra if you don't want to increase your customer's measurement. So after which you extend the line in this form, and then the next thing to do here is to look for your armhole. So the armhole I am going to use for him is for 3/4 sleeve. Now the formula is chest over 4 minus 1 inch. So the chest I have is 42, right? Then over 4 is 10.5 minus 1 is what? 9.5. So you mark 9.5 here for the person's armhole. This formula works for everybody, both for adults and for kids, for their 3/4 sleeve. Which is also the same thing for the long sleeve as well. Then on this part, you mark 10.5 this way. and then mark extra 2 inches. But I'm using 1.5 for my customer, right? Then the next to do is to apply the shoulder. So the shoulder I have is a shoulder of 17 over 2 is going to give us 8.5. Then add extra half to this for your sleeve joining, making it to be 9 inches. So you mark what? 9 inches here. Then after this, the next to do as well is to connect the 9 inches you have here to the shoulder, right? Connect this way to the shoulder this way. So this is how you connect it. Please make sure you follow the steps, right? So that you don't get confused or get carried away. Then after this, now the next to do is to slope your outfit. Now sloping is just to slant the body of the outfit to make it sloped in order to fit properly on your customer. Now the range of sloping is from 1 inch to 3 inches. For adults, we use 2.5. When we get to the kids and female senators, I will tell you the inch we use. So you use 2.5 inches here for your slope, right? Then after the slope, now the next as well to do is to connect it as well from here to this very edge and fold. Now bear in mind that there are 2 types of sloping. The first slope can stop at the neck edge, while the next can stop at the fabric unfold. So whichever one you want to use, there is no problem. But the one I am using here is for the one that ends on the fabric unfold. We are going to still try the other one out and see and compare the similarities and also the differences. So having said that, now the next to do as well is to do armhole trimming. Armhole trimming is from your from your shoulder slope to the armhole remaining. You have 7. Now divide by 2, you have 3.5. Now you mark 3.5 here. Now from that 3.5, you are meant to come in by 1.5 inch inside for your armhole curve, right? Or armhole trimming. Then with the help of your armhole curve, this is armhole curve, it can be gotten in the market or any shop that sells fabric or sewing accessories. So you place this way. Now this placing is trying to connect a curve that connects from the shoulder slope to the armhole 1.5 and the armhole depth. So from here, you place your ruler, your armhole curve this way until you strike a balance that connects in this form, goes in this form to this very point. This is called your armhole curve. So I hope you are seeing it clearly on the fabric, right? Though it's not that clear, but when cutting, you will still get to see it properly. Then after this, the next to do as well is to do your neck. Now your neck calculation I have, the neck I have is a neckline of 17 divided by 6. You have 2.83. So I will minus 0.3 from that, and I will have 2.43 thereabout, or 2.5. This is 2.5. So I mark 2.5 widths this way, and then add half to this 2.5 and make it to be 3. So you mark 3 inches depth this way. Then connect the line as well in this form. Also connect this one as well in this very form. Then after this, you use armhole curve, place this way, make a curve connecting this to this, and you have it perfectly connected. Then the last thing to do here is to make sure you bring this chest line, extra ink allowance straight down to the very last point of the fabric. So this is how you draft your front block. So the next to do is to cut it out properly, and then I will now show you guys how to cut the back panel of this outfit. Let me cut and show the results. So now I'm done cutting the front panel. As you can see, the 2 front panels are being cut out properly. So the next to do here is to cut the back panel. Then how then do we go about cutting the back panel? It's just as simple as that. Now the first thing you need to do here as well is to make sure you fold the fabric. Now the fabric you're going to fold will still get the same size which we used or which we did on the first cutting. So let me keep this one side, and then I am going to cut out this. Cut out this in this form, just to make it have a perfect finishing, right? This can serve us for the back facing, so you don't throw away this, you keep it one side for your back facing. So you place this way, and then the next to do as well is to fold this fabric. Now this fabric you're going to fold will still be of the same width which we folded at the beginning, right? So you fold in that form. You can fold them one by one or fold them together, but make sure that whichever method you're using to fold is properly done. So let me put this on that so that you can see the choking very well. I noticed that the first video choking wasn't that bright. So let me first and foremost fold this one so that you can see the choking of the back panel properly. So once I get my folding, which we had 42 chests, 10.5 by 4, then extra 1.5 or 2 inches. So this is how my folding will be. So I will also fold this one as well. Like I said, the fabric doesn't have any concrete pattern, so you can place it in any way. But if it has any pattern, please kindly follow the pattern and don't misplace the pattern so that it doesn't spoil your work, right? It's very important so it doesn't get to spoil your job. So once you get it properly folded, now the next to do is to iron out as well. So carefully arrange your fabric and then you iron out properly. So you iron out properly. So the ironing comes next. You always iron. Make sure you iron every step you are taking. Then for you to have a perfect sewing or finishing, ironing should be synonymous with sewing. You should make sure you iron every step you are taking in your drafting stage. Don't jump any stage you are seeing here on this video. Make sure you follow the steps I have applied for you. Right? It will help you to achieve a perfect result or similar results like mine. So I'm going to iron out the underneath fabric as well, to making sure that everything is nicely arranged under. So now, after you have ironed, I'm also trying to balance this. So we try also to balance this properly, this way. So once the bolts are corresponding, the next to do is to clip this nicely. Then you proceed, right? You proceed. Now the front panel will be used in cutting the back panel. That's the simplest way to do that. Then hold it firmly this way and make sure you leave 1 inch extra at the base. You know, you are going to remove this edge. After the edge you are going to remove, you are meant to leave 1 inch extra at the edge, so you have your fabric positioned in this form. Then the next to do is to increase the length of the back panel. Now, front and back panel are not of the same length. Now, the trick here is that if you don't increase the back, you have an issue where the front will be pushing toward the back. So you are meant to increase the back for the fabric to relax properly. And there is a certain inch you must use in doing this. You don't just increase it without any guide. There's a guide that you must use. So which, remember, we use 2.5 inches to slant. So for the fact that our slanting ended on the fabric folded edge, we are meant to add half an inch extra to that 2.5 inch we used. But if our slanting had ended on the neck edge, you are going to raise equal 2.5, 2.5. But since our slanting cut across the neck edge, by the virtue of its cutting, it has reduced half an inch from the neck depth, right? So that half an inch is removed. It's what I'm going to replace back on the back neck raising. So adding half to that 2.5, it becomes 3. And this will be only added on the neck region. So 3 inches from the neck tip here, and then 2.5 on the armhole area, right? So having said that, then the next to do as well is to increase this in this direction. Make sure it's properly increased in this way, and then slope your ruler half an inch backwards from the straight arc, half an inch backwards, and then the neck depth remains 1.5 inches neck depth. You can use your elbow curve or your Papa Master, whichever one you can lay your hands on to do your neck curve. So neck curve should come from this point, placing the rule from the edge that has the curve towards the half inch, 1.5 inch, then curve in this form. Now make sure that the depth of this area is a bit deeper than the 1.5. It will make your neck to come out perfectly well after when sewing or after sewing, right? Then after this, the next to do as well is to cut out as shown. So this will be my cut out position. I have to cut from here this way, and then also cut from here this way, and then from here as well. So this is just the best way you can use, right, to achieve a perfect drafting. So don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, comment, and also share to your friends. Invite them to come to Mr. Redefine YouTube channel to watch how you can be a perfect designer. Then fold the back shoulder to come to the front in this form. Fold in this form, and then make sure it's relaxed. The extent of your folding should be 2 inches to 2.5 on both areas. So after that, when you have folded perfectly well, you trim the excess is coming out on the neck shoulder region, and also trim on the neck region as well. So make sure you follow my pattern in drafting, so that if you have any issues in sewing, I will be able to answer to your questions when you ask on the comment section. So follow this pattern, and this is how it is, right? So now don't forget to remove the English thread mark at the base so that it doesn't conflict with your length of the top, right? Then after this, we are going to cut the other components, the back facing, the sleeve, and every other component there. So now the piece that came out from the cutoff we had on our first front panel is what I am going to use now to cut my back facing. So just put it together in this way, and then you iron out nicely as well. Like I said, you must iron any stage you are undergoing, please. Very important, right? Very, very, very important. So after which, you place this one this way, and then make sure it's properly relaxed this way, and then the length from the neck depth could be 6 inches, depending. So you can still decide to do more, but then because of the folding, I will leave it to this point and then fold with the English mark so that it doesn't show at the back. So make sure it's properly arranged in this form, and then you cut the neck, exact neck this way. Also cut the exact shoulder this way, right? This way. This way. Then after which you are done cutting the back facing. So this is how it will be. Now the next to do as well is to cut the sleeve. Now the sleeve, like I told us, will be a 3/4 sleeve. So you also get to learn how to cut a 3/4 sleeve or how to draft a basic sleeve as well. The process of 3/4 sleeve, short sleeve are also the same, right? The difference is only in long sleeve, which we have to add the coupling measurements and possibly the printing effects. So, but the other processes remains the same. So this is for the 3/4 sleeve. So I am going to cut this now from here. So now, because I have the two fabrics together, so I also fold firmly in order to achieve a perfect sleeve. So we are going to have a sleeve that will have a turn up. It will have a turn up right at the edge. It will have a turn up at the edge. So you carefully hold this way and hold this one as well. Make sure that the three pieces are together can still fold them one after the other if you so wish, but then make sure you arrange your sleeve, your fabric nicely. So once you're done folding, you fold in this form as well in order to save your fabric, right? So you also fold in this form just to save your fabric. Now, the question is, how do we determine to what extent are we to fold our fabric? Now, the fabric folding should be gotten from your customer's bicep measurements over 2 plus extra 4 inches. Meaning, your customer's front sleeve, the muscle area, you have to use that measurement there to determine to what extent you have to fold your sleeve. So the measurement I have for my customer for his front sleeve is 14, right? 14 inches. So 14 divided by 2 is 7. So you have to measure 7 across the fabric, 7 plus extra 4 inches. So this is excess, so I have to reduce a bit. Now some persons might ask me, why extra 4? Now the answer remains, remember that in our drafting, we added 2 inches to the front panel. Now also the back also has 2 inches. That's 4 inches in total. So 2 plus 2 is 4. Now the reason you must add 4 is to make sure that your sleeve curve is able to cover the chest and also enter at the back allowance and also at the front panel allowance. That is the reason you must add extra 4 to your sleeve fold, right? That's the simplest trick to use. Then, after which you iron the fabric normally. Don't be in a haste. Take your time, iron out the fabric in this form, and then make sure it's properly ironed. Then after which, the next to do now is to mark out your sleeve. So now, the first thing to mark here is your baseline, right? Your baseline. So you're marking out my baseline this way. So you mark out your baseline. Make sure it's straight enough. Your baseline. Then, because of the fact that I said we are going to make 3/4 sleeve, so the 3/4 sleeve length I have is 15. So I will decide on how many inches turn up I want to have. So I chose to have a 2.5 inches turn up. So if you minus from 15, you are going to have how many inches? 12 and a half, right? Because if you add half to 12 and a half, it becomes 13. 13 plus 2 is 15. So you have 12 and a half inches left. Then don't forget that you are going to add half inch extra to join to the sleeve, becomes to the shoulder, becomes 13. And also don't forget that you add extra half inch again to join to the turn up, it becomes what? 13 and a half, right? So you mark in this form. So in totality, we added 1 inch extra because of the joining to the shoulder and join to the turn up effect. So I have it to be 13 and a half in this form. Then since we have used the bicep to fold, the bicep is covered, then the next thing to use is the round sleeve where the 3/4 sleeve is ending. So with the measurement I have for that one, I measured it to be at 13, which is 6.5. So you mark 6.5 in this form, extra 1 inch or 1.5. However, I'm using 1/4 this way. And then you come down here by 4 inches for your inseam, right? Then the easiest way to get a perfect sleeve curve is by joining the line, 4 inches here, straight to the fabric unfold this way. Then divide this line into 3 or 4 equal parts. So let's do by 4 equal parts. So from here to here, give me 12.3, right? So the middle is 6.15 here. The middle of this as well is 3.1. So 3.1, 3.1 on both panels. Then this is the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and the last quarter. Now the center one is this one, which is the 6.15 thereabout. Then this middle one is to be left untouched. The last quarter is where you have to come down by half an inch from there, half an inch this way, right? and then the first quarter you go high by half an inch as well, right? Then make a curve connecting the edge of the fabric unfold to the half-inch high here, and then to the middle point, this way, and then to the half-inch below. This is how the curve should be, and then you connect with your freehand curve to the 1.5 inch you added. Then cut accordingly as well. Please don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you are enjoying this video at this very moment. Comment and also subscribe to my YouTube channel. Right? So this is for my sleeve I have. So the next I will do now is to cut out the turn up of the fabric here. So the turn up will come from this fabric. I will just have to mark out the baseline. Normally, the way I used to mark it out. Then remember we chose to use 2.5 as our turn up effect. Then unfold is 5 inches. There's an extra one inch again for the joining, because if you fold half, if you fold 1 inch, it becomes half, right? So it becomes 6. So you match 6 inches here. Now remember that what we have here from this point to this very moment is 16. You are meant to add extra 1 inch so that it will be a bit longer. So 18. You measure from here. You mark 18. You measure. You mark 18. Then 18 by 6. That's what we are going to use for the turn-up effect, which was derived from our calculations and measurements. Then after which you cut out the baseline this way. Cut the baseline properly. Make sure that all baselines are properly cut out. Then after that, this is your turn-up fabric, right? So now this is for the turn-up. Then the next I will do, I think I will have to add side pockets to my outfit. Side pockets to my outfit. It gives it that mature finishing. Though it depends on the customer's preference and choice as well. So make sure you go in line with what the customer wants. So I am cutting the 4 fabric at once in order to achieve my side pockets on the both outfits. So just trying to arrange all of this way, arranging them from here. So now I'm cool with this. Then the pocket opening I want to use, cutting is 9 inches. I will still fold it off before finishing, right? So 9 inches, then the length could be 11 or 12, however you want to do it. It's very much okay. So I'm using this. I will still fold it to my desired finishing. So you run it across this way. So this is for the side pockets. I will just cut out this in order to remove the English mouth from here. So the side pocket. Now, the next to do is to cut the flap, right? The flap, because it will have a flap on the center chest of the outfit. So I will use this for my flap. So I like doing singular flaps, and that singular flap must be done in line with your customer's measurements, right? Alright, so now we're trying to cut the flap. And the flap, you must make sure you have a perfect straight line from one edge, perfect straight line from this edge. The line can go properly straight. Then, after doing that, the width of the flap, I have it to be 4 inches, right? 4 inches. You can try to make it less than that, but however, because of the way I want to fix it, I will still make this a collar gum. So you don't have to worry about it. You still need to fold to the desired length, right? So that to cut the flap in this form, and then after this, you now decide on the design you want to give the front panel, so which will be determined when I am done my outfit. So the flap length, I'm using 17. I will still fold it to my choice. So thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you in the next video, which we have the gumming and sewing aspect. Make sure you watch the video to the end so you learn how to do all of this. Thank you guys for watching. Bye bye.